See what's up, man?
Jasper has entered the room.
That is correct. What's up? It's been a
Uh,
couple weeks.
it's been a couple of weeks. There's been traveling, there's been sickness, there's been, yeah, huge transformation. It's been a month, I think, since the last time, maybe a month and a week.
No, I checked. I think it was like probably like a month. So it said like 3 weeks ago. So yeah,
Yeah. So, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm pretty good. Lots of thinking recently, mainly about like how I want to. I think it's important to do things like in an authentic way, in any area of your life, and specifically like through content. There is so much noise out there, and a lot of like attempts to grab your attention, but then there is a big lack of like actually, fulfilling whatever you promise by getting people that attention. And outside of that, just a lot of I speak to a lot of content creators and people that are kind of in similar spaces as us, and they just say, I put this stuff out there, but I hate it. I don't, it's cringe to me. It's kind of like, dude, if it's cringe to you, then why would you put it out there? It's kind of like, would you watch your own stuff?
Hmm.
And or perhaps not you, but maybe younger you in that
Hmm.
sense. Um, and just trying to figure out, okay, how can I create something that is an extension of me, that
Hmm.
is aligned with what I am doing and what I like want to bring into the world.
Hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
Hmm.
So you are in a place of discovering your authenticity and deciding or figuring out how can you share what's real to you and not just follow the trends, which
Hmm.
you see that many people
Yeah,
do.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you dealt with that kind of process?
So what comes to mind, I have a business coach, an amazing business coach, and he says this one thing which is very interesting. He says, don't like in marketing, which is content, don't try to be unique,
Hmm.
be authentic. Then your uniqueness will shine through. Because in your deepest authenticity, and he also, the way he uses authenticity has really changed my mind. And it's been this transformation of the word authenticity, spirituality, and personal development for me this last couple of months. And it started actually with me going to a speed date event with a student of mine to support him and also to have this kind of experience. And then his first girl, she says, yeah, I'm into personal development, but it's not about getting better. It's about becoming more authentic. And then yesterday I was eating breakfast with this Swedish girl that I met on the beach, and she's like, "Oh, you're spiritual?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, I'm not really." And then I ask, "Okay, are you into personal development?" She's like, "Yeah, but I'm not into like putting all this, uh, like not smokes, but like this things you put in the air, like they send
I mean,
when you
like
light
layers, or like
now
how do you?
when you light like this thing that has a distinct smell in the
Hmm.
room. What is it called? It's very
Scent,
yeah, exactly. What?
scent, like the scent of the thing.
Yeah, like scents and stuff. It's like, no, I'm not really using that. I'm like, no, but that's not necessarily spirituality.
Hmm.
That's like culture. And like spirituality is more about personal development. It's more about, becoming a better version of yourself, discovering deeper truths, deeper authenticity, like you are right now, deeper authenticity inside of you. And in this way, you're growing. So your personal development. But then again, that is not about becoming like better. It's actually becoming more authentic, right? Like
Uh-huh.
you're
It's
looking
like
for,
discovering your spirit self, right? Like,
yeah, you're discovering this better version of yourself inside of you on your spiritual journey of personal development, and that's called becoming more authentic. And that's how my business coach, describes authenticity as the highest emotion, he says.
hmm,
So
for sure.
then how would I tackle that kind of thing? Well, you mentioned this interesting word, you say cringe. And I sometimes look at my stuff and I cringe. For example, yesterday I recorded a video, beautiful view, and I was talking about how I literally went through a shitstorm last week, having a Bali belly, and I used the word diarrhea in the video. Like in the moment it came up, I'm like, should I say it? I'm like, fuck it, and I said it. And I think back, I still haven't watched the video. I'm gonna post it today on Facebook. I still haven't watched it, but I thought about like, why did I say it? I'm like,
Hmm.
it's making me feel embarrassed. But I guess those kinds of cringes, those kinds of moments of sharing, of vulnerability in context, of course, which provides value to the guy or the girl who's watching or reading, is a way of challenging myself to put out stuff that might be a little embarrassing, but can help other people realize deeper truths within themselves. So I'm
Hmm.
finding something unique that just happened to me. I'm posting it in a way which is unique to me. And then the authenticity comes in the way that I'm talking, the way that I'm moving.
For
And
sure.
yeah, doing that with a clear story. So a hook, a story, and something to close it off with. So you don't just rabble on, to kind of have like a structure to it. Uh, is the way that I do it. So I try to be as authentic as possible when I post it out. Uh,
I think it's important to make this like uh, I'm not sure how you call it, like juxtaposition, I guess. I'm not sure that's the right word, but between we have fear-driven kind of cringe, I think, and like actual out of alignment kind of cringe, right? Like you're doing something that doesn't align with you, and you feel cringe about something because you worry about how other people might perceive it or whatever. And very often with that type of feeling, fear is generally a guideline, right? So it's usually, I feel the fear, let's jump right in and
mm,
let's use that as a sign that we should probably just post it. And I think oftentimes when I felt that and I ended up posting something that I felt like that type of cringe about, then afterwards I would realize I completely lost it. ADD mode. Fuck. Essentially, that's what my brain does at times.
That's like Jim Carrey. Like you have an embarrassing moment, just make it even more embarrassing on purpose.
Exactly.
So you can make out of it. And your mind comes up with things like, oh, you're embarrassing stuff, like, even more. And then, you're kind of like, okay, I'm not dead. And then you
Hmm.
relax. Then if
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So that was kind of my point as well with this type of posting. It's you later realize it doesn't matter whatsoever, right? It's like you're not gonna die. It's
yeah,
and I think that's always the very powerful lens. Just Like, oh, I fear all these things. Oh, I'm worried about whatever it might be. Is this going to kill me? No. Okay, let's
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself in the past few weeks?
So I was at this yoga tantric workshop uh, 2 weekends ago in Ubud. It's like this very spiritual place of Bali. And what did I learn? One thing I learned, I went through this experience, very wow experience. This is also what I'm talking about in the video, and it's about me being on this workshop and I'm sitting and I'm having this experience of my body moving, I'm making noise, I'm crying. There are like 50 people there and then they're quiet, but I'm just letting that come out and with my eyes closed and mind raising and just letting go into that experience. And what I took with me from that, I wrote it down, was that reflection comes after. The experience is now. And what this means is that while having, and this is very common, and one other coach of mine has told me something, is that when you have one breakthrough, you're actually very close to your next one.
Mm.
Usually what we do, and this is very common for guys who want to get better at talking with girls, is like, whoa, I just talked with this one girl now. Like, no matter, doesn't matter care how it went. It's like, I just talked with her. Like, yes, I can go home and relax. Like, yeah, bro. If you talk with one more, maybe you're gonna actually experience a real connection. Maybe talk with one more after that. Maybe she's actually gonna like be into you. Maybe you're gonna have a new experience and mine's gonna like triple blow itself. So in the moment of having the experience, I used to think like, oh, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna tell Jasper about that, and then this, and instead of being in the experience. So the reflection comes after. So in the experience, I'm still in the experience. There's no, oh, I'm gonna do this. No, I'm still here. I'm still experiencing. There's still more space. And then after that, when I get home, then I can start to reflect.
That's a difficult practice, though,
So you resonate.
for sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, my brain is all the time it goes. I've already had 3 of these moments, like since we started, like since I joined this call, for sure. It's just like, yeah, I start thinking about, oh, there's this quote that I read somewhere that is totally like applicable to this, and then, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely resonate with that. There is, I'm reading The Creative Act right now by Rick Rubin, and he talks about awareness and the moment you start to put your judgment or your like any kind of attachment to any thought or anything that you experience is the moment you stop actually experiencing and you stop like your awareness of that thing, right? And so the entire practice and something that I'm making a video on today is like how you can tap into infinite knowledge, right? This concept of if you just open your mind up to be some sort of antenna and you cultivate this awareness, and there's a few different areas, you want to be in like a high vibration state, these types of things that actually enable you to be open to that kind of information. But if you are not in that like level of awareness, I'm not sure where I was going with this, but from there, I think anything can be created.
It was in this state of knowing that you are putting an attachment on the experience. You mentioned, what do you do from your from your understanding, in the moment when you are talking to someone or experiencing something, and you're starting to put an attachment onto the experience, which is taking you kind of out of it, more into like thinking like there's this and there's your youth looking at observing it instead of you being kind of more immersed by it and experiencing it. So what's from your understanding, how do you get out of that, or how do you actually get into that again, into the experience again?
Breathing, I would say.
Hmm?
Breathing.
Mm.
There's a lot of ways, of course, but yeah, generally, just realizing there's a lot of different things, but like, understanding it's not about you is a powerful kind of frame for me. Understanding, kind of going back to like, there is no real, because oftentimes, depending on, the situation, of course, but in a lot of times you start to create this type of, you exit the state of just being aware because you want to get to a certain outcome, or you want to, right, like create for something, essentially. If you can just stick in that and understand, okay, there is no force to be applied here.
Mm.
I think that is usually it. Especially if you look at connecting things with the ego, right? You want to be showing yourself in a certain way, and you want to be doing things in a way that, I don't know, your ego suits you best. And so in that sense, thinking, okay, it's not about you, shut up, is I think one of my personal favorite frames.
Mm. Interesting. Realizing it's not about you, and then in the moment what you're trying to get out of it, become aware of that and tell yourself, hey, it's actually not about you. Like what you get out of it, it's great, but it's actually not about you. Expand your awareness more, like see it from a broader spectrum. And from my experience, what happens then is I will actually get more what I want, because
Totally.
it's usually in connection with other people. And then you will start to see things from their perspective. And you can notice that, oh, that person is also insecure, or that person is also, uh, or like experiencing insecurity, or that person is also has desires, and maybe those desires are the same as mine. Oh, okay. So if I can flow a little more with the situation by listening and paying attention and cooperating with that other person, maybe we can create what I initially wanted, or maybe even something greater.
Hmm.
And then the
Yeah, I
ego.
found that the more selfless you become, the more you aid your real like selfish desires in that way. Like it's actually very selfish to be selfless.
Can you say that again?
Yeah. So from, I mean, I'm pretty sure about this at this point. The more selfless you are, the more selfish you in actuality are in terms of aiding when you align yourself with higher principles, right? Like, so you align yourself with what the universe actually wants, what the world actually wants, with what other people actually want. You get what you want, right? We kind of touched on this, I think, in the first episode as well, but it's by you giving yourself to the world kind of as an offering, as I'm here to serve, you can manifest any of your selfish desires. the cool thing with that is often once from my own journey, especially in the past few weeks, one thing I've really realized is I don't really need stuff anymore. Like I've noticed in the first 2 years of my entrepreneurial career, the biggest thing that has stunted my growth was my desire to get to this huge place of, making X amount of money and like achieving so much kind of material gain and achieving so many like, more status, anything that like most of us are drawn to or are desiring to get out of life. And what I'm realizing is, first of all, that stuff doesn't really matter. But then, second of all, it's also a thing of, okay, who am I to say that, right? Like, I'll once you have the Rolls Royce and you have the Ferrari and you have 10 supercars, you have like all these things, and then you are in that position, and then you can actually say that. I think that obviously brings way more validity to your claim. Um, but I've noticed whenever I try to align myself more in terms of, yeah, universal law, and you just think about serving others, right? Like you can get anything you want.
Interesting. It's the big principles, especially when it comes to uh, laws of the universe. Do you know any of them by heart?
I mean, yeah, quite a few, but you want to like go through them or what?
I haven't looked at any of the laws today. I do it not every day, but say a number between 1 and 6, 7.
Okay, 6.
So, interesting. The law of cause and effect. The sixth law states that every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. In accordance with this law, every effect you see in your outside or physical world has a very specific cause, which has its origin in your inner or mental world. This is the essence of thought power. Every one of your thoughts, words, or actions set a specific effect in motion, which will come to materialize over time. To become the master of your destiny, you must master your mind. For everything in your reality is a mental creation. Know that there
Yeah, so
is
that's
nothing like
that's
chance.
kind of like another, right? It's like law of mentalism. So you kind of touched on two there.
Yeah, like nothing like chance or luck. They are simply terms used by humanity in ignorance of this law. And it talks about your intention being instantly created in the spiritual realm, and then it takes time for them to happen in other places because of the concept of time and space. So there's some time lag. And it's interesting to trace back, especially if you, let me think, I did a meditation with uh, a, a coach of mine. How many coaches do you have? A few. And
Yes.
that was about, it was about looking at how pretty girls were reflecting something back, I a lack in me. How I was looking to fill something. I was doing this for a long time, so I'm actually aware, started working on it. And here in Bali, there's an abundance of pretty girls. So he was like, it's funny you're there now working on this, because it's like an abundance of pretty girls there reflecting back. And I was thinking about it this morning, and today, like coincidentally, of course, there's no chance, we just read it. There was this, like, the prettiest girl on the beach was walking the stairs with me, and we were talking. And I actually forgot about it in the moment, but after we had split apart, I was thinking, oh, okay. And I noticed how, when I was then thinking back on the moment, and how I was experiencing the moment, the emptiness, the times of emptiness I experienced, and then how I was now able to give back this responsibility that I've been carrying of filling that emptiness, which is not my responsibility, but my ancestors. So giving it back to them. This is a way um, of simply put, personal development. And I was just noticing how it's like all of my triggers, or how I like to call them, opportunities for growth, had been developed in aspect to this need to fill that void. So even after, if the things that I wanted to happen did not happen, I would have guilt arise. And I've been creating a lot of ways of dealing with that guilt. And today I was walking back, and it's like, the guilt, it's so weak now compared to what it used to be. It's like, why did I do this and that? And then I just like, oh, this is a reaction to me trying to fill the void. Okay, amazing. And oh, thank you for this opportunity for growth. And I give back that responsibility. And it just like kind of hides, because it doesn't want to, like, the darkness doesn't want to be seen as darkness kind of things. I'm like, okay,
What do you
perfect.
mean, like, what is the void specifically?
Sorry?
What is the void specifically that you're referring to?
Okay, so it's an emptiness of and it's a space of unworthiness. And it's trying to be filled by validation from pretty girls. So if they say, if they like me, if they sleep with me, if they give me positive reactions, then that will be filled. Then it's like, oh yeah, I'm actually enough. I don't know if you had this, like, I know I've had it, like, going back. I think a lot of guys have had this, being on a date or having sex with a girl, and going home after, and you're like, for a few moments you're feeling great, and then the more of those experiences you have, the less it actually gives, like, great, that kind of um, fulfilled feeling.
Hmm.
And I'm realizing I don't need pretty girls to give me this. I can give this to myself. I don't have to use them to fill this emptiness and act
Yeah.
from that emptiness, like, oh, fulfill me. I can fill this myself, and then start to have fun with the girls. I can start to play with the girls. And then, like you said, the interaction can then go naturally towards sex, naturally towards, whatever you're desiring. Because if there's a connection, then, well, that's probably her desire. eventually as well, you know? So you kind of not having to do anything, and it ties back to what you said about just getting in and being selfless. When you're playing with someone, you're selfless, you know, you're just having fun.
Hmm.
You're very present.
Totally.
Lion was playing, you know, "Rawr." and then and then spontaneity can arise, and you're both able to connect on a deeper, authentic level within yourself and within the moment. And that's when the magic happens.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm on complete abstinence. So like that is a whole nother challenge. But yeah, I definitely used to fill that void for a very long time. Like I was never really able to be by myself. Like ever since I had like my first girlfriend, would always be yeah pushing myself to get into the next relationship and not be alone. And spoke with my mother about this, and she like looking back, she had the exact same. I think that's like something yeah like probably my dad as well. But yeah, like they myself for a very long time would not want to be alone because it basically means right you are not worthy in some I guess on a subconscious level it's like you are not worthy of love or like because you're by yourself or some mechanism like that and it's a very big problem right it's not just this applies to I think like all the pleasure that we seek where it's you're always trying to fill your cup from the outside and the only way you fill your cup from the inside is purpose and self-transcendence.
Mm.
So yeah, that is yeah now like just being by myself for a period of time and yeah just working on yourself rather than needing anything. It's it's a very good place to be, I think. It's also very dangerous, right? Like if you have that kind of need, you're never going to be able to really develop yourself into the person that is capable of having a great relationship because you're always going to be dependent on this other person rather than it come from a place of pure like we I choose to be with this person because or like I desire to be with this person.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I've been thinking about that lately as well, the difference of desire and uh, need, or like desire and uh, this, because you know, in a way, like desire is like lack. You're saying you don't have it, but it's
Hmm.
not bad. Like desire is not bad. It's just like being in the vibration of desire, like immersing like desire, uh, is a uh, it's not the most efficient way, most effective way to get what you want.
Never.
Mm. Wonder if that's what we are doing when we are creating that lack within ourselves, that space between us and what we want. Like, oh, I want this, but by realizing that you can give this to yourself, you first have to accept love unconditionally. And that can be very hard because it can be very uncomfortable.
Hmm. And like on the other side of discomfort is usually exactly like, what you're seeking for.
Yeah,
Like instead of trying to run away from it, let's just that, instead of distracting ourselves from it as well, like instead of trying to like escape that, if you can just sit in it and just feel it, experience it, and you just say, okay, I completely accept this discomfort that I'm feeling right now, and you don't try to do anything with it. Yeah, I think that's like where most breakthrough kind of lies, because you're also just facing the reality of whatever discomfort you're feeling, like it's not that bad.
yeah. You're growing, you're being courageous.
Sure.
I do this
What,
exercise.
what is
Continue,
it?
continue.
Um, Something that I heard a few weeks ago was self-investment equals self-love. I'm not sure if it's the exact same. I think there's a few different mechanisms to create self-love, but like looking back, I think one of the ways in which my self-love has grown a lot is, yeah, just investing so much into me as a person. And this doesn't just mean, obviously, like if you invest in your own growth, literally with like coaches and these things, like this is all good stuff as well. It's also a very literal manifestation of, right, like most people, they just invest in stocks and funds because they think those things are more competent than themselves.
Mhm.
um but just, yeah, like in investing in yourself through all of this sacrifice that you're making, of no matter what, waking up at the same time, um going to the gym, no matter how you feel, all of these things, like they compound so greatly to where I'm at a point where if I lose everything, like I'll at least still have me and the person that I've built, and I can just sit with myself, and it will be okay. And that took a long time. Have you created like any type of, have any idea how you want to kind of continue to tackle this like void?
So I have a few ways, and one of them is the meditation that I do. I started with it yesterday about giving back that responsibility and feeling myself from the inside and then taking that with me throughout the day. It's an amazing feeling, by the way. And being more and more aware of the moment, so not uh, escaping the situations. Like, I don't need pretty girls. Like, still go into them with the higher intention, which is to grow and be ready to get uncomfortable. Because the comfortable move is to just follow a pattern, even if that pattern is not working.
Hmm.
Even if that pattern means not growing or not getting the girl or not, whatever. So the uncomfortable feeling would come by becoming aware in the moment and then deciding that, okay, let's try something new. Okay, what would I usually do here? Probably try to impress her, or probably play it cool, or probably say something. Okay, let's try now to be quiet. Let's try now to not say anything and just be with the stillness. And then some new stuff will arise. And maybe they will be uncomfortable, or maybe they will be like, aha, this is what I can do, like a opportunity, like to change the direction of that kind of growth. And also, so that's the second. And the third one is being very aware of the difference of, okay, I really like this girl. I really connect and I really desire this girl. And okay, she's hot, but there's something else that's attracting me besides my honest attraction. There's something I want to get from her besides, um, sex, which is pleasurable, or connection, or there's something that I'm trying to fill up and be honest with myself and courageous enough to sacrifice the girls that sacrifice the witch. No, sacrifice getting that experience or having that moment with a pretty girl if it's not aligned with what I actually want and actually need, instead of what I think that I need and want, which is just filling up this void. So yeah, I have to be very honest with myself and have to be willing to not only wake up at the same time like we do, but also, say no to stuff that's not really aligned with me. And I think that's going to be tested. Kind of already has been, like yesterday, and I think it's going to be tested more, which is good. That means I'm aligned, like I'm getting lessons. Look at life like a school or like a game, getting lessons. And yeah, that's how I will grow out of that and give back that responsibility to be able to just be Eden, be authentic as I am.
One thing that might be beneficial is to, and this might be too personal to be sharing like on a podcast, but like is just looking at, okay, right, like where does this come from in the first place? I was trying to think about the what's that guy called? Do you know? You must know this, like the Alpha Buddha kind of guy, right? Like, I think that's his name, like
Alpha.
Corey something. Have you? I mean, I presume you've read like Rational Male.
Uh, a rational man. That's
There's some real like red pill stuff.
Rollo Tomassi. I don't know if I read it. Maybe.
Okay,
Uh,
so this might be. I mean, this is yeah, pretty interesting stuff to be reading, especially like in your. So
yeah.
I would highly recommend that. But
Yeah.
one thing he talks about is that I mean the book is very it's like super hardcore. It's kind of a lot about like alpha versus beta and like you know the different character traits and like the belief systems and stuff. But there's this guy called like Corey something last name and he refers to him as like the alpha Buddha or something. So there's this news where I think he did like some like Project X type stuff where he threw like this massive house party and completely crashed, like trashed his parents' house and like the neighborhood and stuff in Australia. And he comes on this news interview, and this woman
Uh,
tries to like shame him into like, you know, don't you feel like guilty and whatever. He's just like, nah, I'm cool and like just super chill, and it's like super kind of alpha presence for this like dude who's like 16 or something, right? So it's like
yeah,
just
yeah.
like takes control of whatever situations like authentic to whatever. Like obviously it's like assholeish, but it's like right, like he accepts his assholishness and just proudly represents it. That is kind of the core takeaway with that. And so why I'm referencing this is obviously to be in that natural state, like there must have been a lot of things that went well in his kind of parenting. Obviously, something went less well with the entire trashing part, but like in the part of him being so confident in his own skin and stuff. And so there
Mm,
is probably some trigger, right, that like creates these things in the first place. Outside of the purpose is like is a big fix, but generally speaking, to it's not like we are as beings, we are naturally like feeling unworthy of anything. I don't believe that at least. And so there's usually some type of trigger that has planted that. I was even speaking with a girl a few weeks ago, and we were kind of coaching through this idea of okay, she's not progressing. She gave up on her music career after playing her entire life, and then by the time she was 18, this professor told her like, "Oh, you should have started earlier," and like, "I don't think you can do this big dream of working, in an orchestra and traveling and whatever." And that was the moment the seed was planted of I am not capable of doing this, right? Because a authority figure told me I cannot achieve this, therefore I can't achieve it. And so very often the thoughts that we have of feeling unworthy or whatever limitation, whatever thoughts that pop up, they're not even our thoughts. They're just seeds that were planted by someone else and we accept them for what they are.
mm, mm. Yeah, I think. Mm, one moment. Yeah, I'm thinking because I believe I know where it's from. At least I believe I know Well, it must be that, because there was no moment before that. There was not many moments before that that I can remember when that used to be a lack. Well, there might have been some lack in the first place, and then this was a way of, okay, I can use this to fill myself up. And I did remember, I know of, and I know this, and I've talked about this like previously, it's that I have a memory of my my father um, telling me this story. Like he was asked, yeah, it's very personal, my uncle, about how, like, if I was like 16, I think, and he was asked, so is Ellen, having sex? Is he having sex with someone? Like, is he, someone, I think something like that. And then maybe, I don't know if it's that, but no, it can't be that. Well, I was gonna say, then my father said, no, as long as he's not getting, by someone, then that's fine. And I think at that time, and when he told me that, part of me thought like, okay, so if I would have gay sex, someone would fuck me, and then you would not love me. I think I had that, and for a time after that, I had like this rebellious thought, like of uh, questioning my sexuality because of that. And then I go, and I'm becoming aware of it, and I really think about it, and I'm like, okay, but I'm not desiring men. I'm admiring men, but I'm not desiring men, and I'm really desiring women. So where is this from that I realized that? This is not
Is
this is not this thing, this is something else. But yeah,
yeah,
what came up.
yeah.
But where the other thing came up, maybe, okay, since we're on it, I can say I was playing football with friends, and one of them asks, "How, Eden, are you still a virgin?" I think I was like 16 or maybe even 17. And I got embarrassed, and I don't remember what I said, but I don't have memories of me not being okay, at least with not getting girls before that. So maybe being in my circle of friends playing football, like that was my arena at the time, and yeah, not being enough, not being like, not coming up to the
Yeah.
status quo, being
Hmm.
a virgin. No, how fun.
It's very often it doesn't have to be a big seed, I think. Like it's not like has to be some massive catalyst that sometimes it happens, but very often it's just a small seed that gets planted, and then we kind of we bring that idea to life through then having this in our head and seeing the confirmation of it. I always get very triggered, like when someone asks me if I'm like, so for example, like someone might like make an assumption of, oh, it's not like you seem annoyed today or whatever, and then I kind of get annoyed, like why the fuck are you like making that like a reality kind of? I'm not sure if that maybe that is like obviously the showing of that frustration, but why like very often there are things that don't exist, and then by other people speaking them into existence, then you start to question that thing, and it becomes a thing that you entertain, and then it becomes a reality.
Mm. So you speak something into existence. by getting triggered by what the first person, then there must be some kind of seed there to start with, no?
Yes, that is what I realize is the other thing, right? Like sometimes, I mean, obviously sometimes it can be just something that is like misunderstood or whatever, but the other side of that is perhaps, you know, maybe there is something there that you need to look deeper into.
So did you become aware of what that was inside of you?
Yeah.
Hmm. So how is that going?
Mm. I think most of it just comes down to faith. Like just kind of what we were talking about, like surrendering to the process. Whenever I feel frustrated about pretty much anything, it's always you try to like you're not patient, right? Like you try to take a shortcut to get to where you want to go, and continuously making that shortcut again and again and again is kind of what creates frustration because you're in the long run because you try to, yeah, kind of like what do you call it, like speed run your way to a place rather than just accepting like God's plan, the universe's plan, the source's plan, like whatever, you know, you believe in. And yeah, something that's really helped me recently is just the concept of if a man is right, his world will be right. Of understanding if I just am a good man every single day, or at least I try to be as much as I can. That is what is in my control.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
yeah, just trying to live by principle and by character and by aligned with universal laws. Because I think also like, yeah, being frustrated about anything, right? Where does that come from? It's again like some type of lack or you know, some type of perhaps guilt, like
Hmm.
some type of low frequency state either way.
Hmm. Yeah, I find frustration to be coming from, well, a type of resistance. For example, I've been moving a lot. I've been living in 11 or 12 different places. Out of 12 different places in 2024.
Hmm.
And and I look at my Airbnb, it's just like a list. And I've been moving a lot. I have this suitcase which I've filled up so much. And sometimes when I'm in a rush to pack it, uh, taxi's waiting, and it's not, it doesn't want to close. Come on, close, man. I'm like hitting, like getting frustrated, you know. If I had all the time in the world, if I was like, okay, doesn't close, interesting. Doesn't close here, interesting. So I'm not resisting it. There's no frustration. It's in the resistance. It's wanting to be here, and it's like trying to play the guitar. It's not working.
Hmm.
So frustration, I found when trying to learn something, is a positive, because going from, you know, where you are to where you want to get, feeling then frustrated is means, okay, I'm involved and I'm at the point where I'm learning something new. Great.
Hmm.
Continue being in that. You know, frustration is a good sign.
That's powerful. Yeah, yeah. It's the same with like social anxiety or anything, right? Like where, or you have a sales call and you feel like your heartbeat go up and whatever. But if you didn't have that, unless it's obviously to the point where you have done it so many times that it's completely natural to you at that point,
Mm.
it is a feeling we want to have. It means that you care about the situation. It means you're doing something that is worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. I yeah, I've heard that with people going on stage, feeling nervous, like always nervous. It's good. It
Hmm.
means you care,
Yeah,
and it's just energy. It's just excitement. If you go
for
up to
sure.
a girl on the street and you're not feeling anything,
Yeah, she's probably
or
not like that interesting to you.
yeah, exactly, or you're desensitized. There's some desensitized, no,
Hmm.
yourself to that feeling because you want to come up and be excited. You want to come up and be like, oh, you know, damn, what are you up to? You're just saying whatever's on your mind because you're excited instead of like just like a robot or something,
Yeah,
and that's more fun. And that's good enough. It's okay to be nervous. It's good
sure.
enough.
Cool.
I feel like that
Yeah,
ties it in nicely,
same.
Jordan Peterson style. Um, yeah, episode number 3.